what made you decide not to have sex with anyone
Oh man.
for a year, right?
Yeah. Well, first off, a lot of times when you hear about celibate dating, you think of the people that are hardcore religious, right? That are doing this because if they don't, God's going to punish them.
Mm-hmm.
That was not our train of thought at all. For most of my life, I had a handful of like 2-year relationships, but a lot of it has been just casual dating, just having fun. High school, college, a little bit of time after that. It was by no means celibate, let's put it that way. And it was kind of everything that we hear nowadays about the dating culture. So I had that life. And then I had a period of time where, yeah, I'll just go right into it. So I had a girlfriend I was dating for a little bit less than 2 years. And then when that ended, full transparency, I dated and then slept with like 2 girls shortly after.
Mm.
And then after the second girl, I realized like, oh, I'm just doing this to run away from the emotions that naturally come up after a heartbreak. I'm just doing this to get my mind off of feeling into what's actually best for me right now. And when you realize that, it's such a grounding moment because you realize, oh my gosh, okay, this behavior I've had for quite a while, the whole time, I was running away from something. And for me, that's probably a little bit different than most, but I was running away from committing to a life I knew I was capable of. I was running away from stepping into a higher version of myself when it comes to realigning my priorities to be around serving others, to be around the betterment of my own health and happiness, to building what I know I could have built, chasing women, especially in your late teens, early 20s when it's kind of expected, is a great distraction, is a great coping mechanism from feeling what needs to be felt and having the conversations with yourself around what do I actually want from this life. And so as I got out of a relationship with that girl I was dating for a very long time, who I had a lot of love and respect for, that was probably one of the bigger heartbreaks of my life. And then just kind of going back into the streets, if you want to call it that, I realized like I feel empty inside. I don't feel good. And then me at that time being 23, I'm like, what am I doing in my life? Spending my time at nights, like swiping right on Tinder so many times that my finger starts to cramp. And like just trying my best to, let's go on a date, let's do this, let's fill up the entire week with as many dates as possible or whatever it is. Like, why? Why am I doing that? And there's some part of society, it's like, oh, you're young, cut yourself some slack, just have fun, do your thing. But through my own personal experience, I realized like, I think a lot of men are doing that right now because we feel lost. And because it's easier to do that than it is to look ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves, like, what do we actually want? And so from that period of time, wow, yeah, almost exactly a year. I think it was March 2023 to having met you February 2024, then dated in March 2024. It had been a year since I slept with someone. And within that year, there were still like women coming into my field, like women wanting to, see if this is relationship worthy, whatever it was. But I told myself like, I'm not going to have sex. And there were even multiple situations where they were definitely down for it. I could definitely do it, but something inside of me just like, no. When I was able to look within myself more and feel my own pain and empathy and compassion, naturally I felt that way for everyone around me. And so I realized that even if the women are the ones enticing it to happen, saying they want it, I now understood a deeper aspect of human nature, that us humans, the effect of a one-night stand does not only happen within that 24-hour period. Biologically, it stays, especially in the women's body, for their lifetime. But especially the past handful of days after something like that happens, they feel this emotional attachment to the man that is hard to put into words. And when you're going into it of, oh, this definitely is not my wife, this is a girl I went a few dates with, okay, we'll just have a good time and then we'll see where things go. But you always know, like, this isn't my person, this, whatever it is. We create all the excuses to allow that behavior to continue. But I realized if I was being true to myself, when I allowed myself to reflect on how I was in my life, I realized, like, oh, this is not best for me and my mental and emotional health. And this damn sure is not best for their emotional health and their physical health, every part of them. And when I realized it as, like, if I approach a girl who I know I'm not going to be with the rest of my life, I'm only going to bring her further away from her inevitable person. And I'm only bringing myself away from my inevitable person. And so, yeah, I just kind of made the commitment. And I swear to you, after I said, like, no more sex, not saying until I get married by any means, but until I find the one, the quality of women that came into my field, that came into my life after making that decision, in comparison to the quality of women that were there before that decision, was night and day. All women are worthy of love. All women are worthy of respect. After I made the choice within to realign my priorities in dating, that is when wifey material women came into my field, came into my life.